Sorry, don't go on air yet. Hold on.
I
I need to do the intro. Okay. Yeah. I start talking now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum. Perfect. So you're listening to Resonating Reflections with myself, Fatima Jabi, on Ramadan Radio 87.9 FM, online at ramadanradio.org, and streaming live on Facebook with our guest today, Mona Hussein, from the Eritrean Muslim Youth UK organization. Please call, text, WhatsApp with your feedback, questions, comments on 077 614 60614. That's 077 614 60614. So welcome, Mona. Thank you so much for joining us on today's show.
Thank you for having me.
How are you so far with the Ramadan? It's last stretch.
Yes, it's been going good. I think general fatigue has been a thing, but alhamdulillah, it's been okay. Can't complain.
No, I mean it's the best days, right? So
yeah,
we'll get the barakah.
Inshallah.
No pain, no gain, as they say.
Right, exactly.
So Mona, you've got quite a, mashallah, inspiring story I'd like to share with everyone today. So you're currently 25, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I am 25.
Mashallah, really, really young. And you are the co-founder and vice president of the Eritrean Muslim Youth UK organization, which has been running for 6 years. And you started it about age 2021, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. You're also an international development graduate, and you've been involved in fundraising, event planning, used to fundraise for Ether relief. I believe you still do that for East African countries like Sudan, Eritrea, Somalia, and I think also you've done some fundraising for Palestine as well. And I understand that you've been volunteering since your college days. And amazingly, you started EMY UK in the last year of your university. So you co-founded it. And the last year of university is where people are usually like trying to, make sure that they, I guess, pass their final year and just get the degree over and done with. But you, mashallah, you immersed yourself in quite a challenging initiative to start EMY UK. So what is EMY UK?
Okay, thank you for that introduction. So EMY UK is a youth-based organization, and we have a mission to educate and to uplift and support Eritrean Muslims in the UK. We're not exclusive to just Eritrean Muslims, but I can get into that a bit later on. But we're just kind of a youth organization to come together and just learn from each other and to socialize and network, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
And amazing. And what would you say is the goal of EMY UK, the Eritrean Muslim Youth? Because you're quite a small community as well. I mean, so in terms of representation, this is great. You've got this organization where it's like an umbrella for youths.
Yes, I think it's really important that we have a safe space for Eritreans in the UK and people that come to our events. I think it's something that we don't really see so much in terms of having that environment. So EMYK aims to facilitate an environment of growth, an environment of education, and to break away from stereotypes within our community. and to also serve as a form of representation for our people. And that's something that's really important in what we do and the Eritrean experience in general.
Yes, I mean, I personally don't know much about Eritrea. I probably have met maybe 2 Eritreans in my life, and you're like the third and your friend. So it's quite amazing to discover EMY UK. I'd never heard of it. So what would you say motivated you to start this organization?
I think there were quite a couple things, but I think the lack of representation, and also I had a lot of ideas, and I remember just seeing so many different people doing things for their own communities, and so I just felt compelled and felt frustrated really at a lot of things in terms of like people not knowing Eritrea, for example, and people not really understanding that part of that identity of our identity. I think it was in school a lot of people wouldn't really know where Eritrea was like, and I think a lot of Eritreans have that same frustration where it's, if people ask where you're from and you say Eritrea, there's either where is that, I've never heard of it, there's a whole history background lesson that you have to kind of give to people, and so I felt like that also led to there not being a lot of things being provided for us. I think growing up there were a lot of community-based projects going on, because there was like a high number of Eritreans coming in from all around the world into London. And so when they first came and with their children, etc., they would huddle around each other, and they would also always, support each other. But as we grew up, there was kind of a disconnect. People had school, people had work, and people had things going on. So there was that kind of disconnect within the community. And so I personally felt that there was that issue. And I felt like there had to be something to kind of bring us back together, and for people to come and see also, like non-Eritreans, to see that there are Eritreans and they do have their own thing, for us to be a majority.
Yes, and you did that. At 20, you were thinking about these things.
Yeah.
So mashallah, you got really inspired at a young age. And is that because you wanted us to create a space as well for young people to be able to connect with their culture, and bridge that gap, as you said? Because a lot of people, because you're born in Britain, and so are British Muslims, British Eritreans, British Pakistanis, or and so forth, Africans, and Arabs. But sometimes, do you think that we struggle to maintain that identity growing up here?
Yeah, I think we do. I think we have different ways of connecting with our identity and our culture. And I think as Eritreans, there was this disconnect, being born here and being away from home. People can connect through the languages, through the food, and even through the languages of Eritrean people, there is a completely different experience, because we have Muslims and we have non-Muslims as well. So we have the Muslims, with some of them opt to speak Arabic and some opt to speak, the native languages as well, even though Arabic is a working language in the country. And so I think, yeah, we do. I think I can only speak for myself. I'm born and raised here. I'm the only person from, I think, my whole family, my entire family, who was born outside of Eritrea, Sudan, and Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
And so for me, I found that quite a big thing. I don't know why, but I don't know how I came to realize it, but it was a big thing because I was the only person who had that experience from my whole entire family. And so there can be a disconnect, and people probably did expect me to have a disconnect from my culture. But alhamdulillah, my parents instilled in me very early. They kind of put us in environments where we had Eritreans around us. So we had a supplementary school that we'd go to every Saturday around with Eritrean people. There would be Eritrean teachers that were from Eritrean background as well. And I think I studied there for around 10, 15 years. And I even now
Sure.
volunteer there as well. So it's a really big part of
Part of you, who you are.
I think so. And my parents, I have to thank my parents for it, because I wouldn't be, you know, in that, I wouldn't have those experiences if it wasn't for them. So alhamdulillah.
Okay, mashallah. And of course, I'm sure your parents probably also had the worries of you completing university. So how did you cope trying to complete uni while starting up EMY UK?
I struggled. It was a struggle. I'm not gonna lie. But alhamdulillah, I had a good team at the time, who were really supportive, who could, take on the workload if I couldn't do it. And also we were just starting up, so there wasn't that much to do, if that made sense. As if in comparison, if we actually were started up, and if we were, running things, we were just kind of starting up, really. So it wasn't as
Like
much
baby steps.
Yeah, it was baby steps. So we were just bracing ourselves, getting into it. So I could ask people, if I can't do this, can you do that? And also, I didn't really take on a big role at the time, just because I knew that I wasn't confident enough, and I knew that I wasn't, I wasn't really set on what I wanted to do particularly, but I just knew that I wanted to do something, and we had people in the group that were older, so they had more time to spare, so they could kind of like take the load and take the work as well. So it was okay, but it was a bit of a struggle at the same time.
Naturally, but I mean, like you said, you just wanted to make a difference, and that's more than enough to really get started with something you love and want to do. And so, what would you say that your background in international development, which is your degree, actually helped with setting this organization up?
Yeah, I would say it did help in some ways. I did start the degree before we did start EMY UK, so I was like mostly into it like at the end of the degree. But I think when I was in sixth form, I studied world development, and that really kind of was my introduction to development studies and sociology and politics and history. And so that kind of led me to research more into Eritrea in general. And at the time, I was introduced to Ifar Relief, and
which is another charity, right?
It was another charity, by their current COO, Saeed Abdurrahman. And he was a teacher of mine when I was growing up. So he kind of introduced me to Ifar Relief, and he knew that I had an interest in development studies at the time. So it did help, because I could take what I was learning from the course and implement it into what we were doing in terms of mobilizing, activism, and working with people as well.
Inshallah.
So it did help, alhamdulillah.
And that can also go into, I think you mentioned you did a NGO management module as well, which is really fitting because you're now you're the vice president of EMY UK, so leadership skills, of course. And sometimes young people are perplexed with what to do when they finish their studies. So does it help getting involved in things that you want to do earlier on, not necessarily when you finish your degree?
I think I still didn't really necessarily know what I wanted to do in other things, but being involved in EMY, it did help me, and it did kind of give me a form of like comfort and ease at the time, because you're quite young and you don't really know what you want to do,
yes.
what road you want to go down, but you have this thing that I had this thing that I could put my energy into. So it did help me in that way. And looking back in hindsight, it was quite an experience, because in one way I didn't really know what exactly I wanted to do, but I knew that I loved doing this thing, and I loved working with my team and meeting new people through our events.
Amazing.
So,
amazing.
Yeah.
So how did your family take it and react when you told them that you were setting up the Eritrean Muslim Youth? organization? And it's the first one in the UK, right?
Yeah, first one in the UK.
Mashallah.
I think my parents knew that I was quite involved in community work because I was a volunteer for Iftar Relief. I think I was doing a placement with them as well. So my parents knew that I was quite involved in the community in that sense. And with my siblings, my younger brother actually was part of the committee as well. And so he kind of lent his skills in what he did. So he did like design and marketing. So he was really good in terms of like making posters with us, and photography and videos as well. But my parents, they knew that I was involved, but they didn't really necessarily know that I set it up, co-founded it, until maybe like a year or two ago. Which is something that I didn't really want to.
You kept that hidden. How?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really want to, didn't really feel like telling people. I just wanted the work to be done. I didn't feel comfortable, to be honest. I didn't feel confident enough to kind of, host events and put myself out there. I just wanted the work to be done, and to be a part of it, and to know within myself that the work was being done and I was a part of it. So my parents now, they're very interested and intrigued in how it works and how when we have meetings and we have events, they see how much prep goes into it, and how when we have meetings and when I need like advice, or when I have questions about community, how elder people can give you advice, and
yes, they're full of wisdom.
Yeah, the wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah, my parents. I've learned a lot about my parents through it. So alhamdulillah, it's been an experience.
And were they surprised that it was young people leading this? Because I know with our communities, it's usually the older generation that tends to lead.
Yeah, I think for them it was quite a shock, when they've seen our events and they've seen how many people come to our events, and they see how much work goes into it, and they see that it's young people. I think they were quite surprised at first. I think they're surprised that I was leading it as well, but it's I think it's important for them to see. I think it's important for them to get for older people in the community to see, in our communities, to see that young people can take initiative, young people can actually, make a change and do something, rather than being, led the way. They can lead themselves. And so, yeah, they were surprised. I mean, naturally. Yeah, that's understandable.
And of course, that didn't deter you. But your committees actually involve other young people as well.
Yeah. So we since we've grown in the last couple of years, we've had younger and younger people get involved actually, and it's been really, really amazing to see young people actually come and put their energy into something bigger than themselves, and something that will help other people as well.
And how do you draw them in? Because sometimes, the distractions are so many.
Yeah.
So getting them to focus on something that's so worthy and really making a change ultimately.
I think we've engaged people in different ways, young people in different ways. So we've either met them at events, and gotten to know them on a personal level, or they've come to multiple events, and so once you see people come to events regularly, you start to start to form relationships, friendships with them. And so sometimes people would have questions, and sometimes we've had people, like for myself, I've had a lot of Eritrean people that I know and myself that have worked with other communities. And so when they see that there is something for their own community, they have there are no reservations. They just go straight for it.
Amazing.
Yeah, so alhamdulillah, it's been great actually.
And of course, with every journey in life, there are challenges. So what would you say your challenges have been in setting EMY UK, and how have you overcome those?
I agree. There are challenges in everything, especially in things of this nature. I would say challenges for myself. Would you say in terms of personal or as?
Yes, both as an organization and
Okay.
as personal.
Okay. As an organization, I think it's finding your way, like your way through the door. So knowing, like having to take the initiative in the first place is quite a struggle. It's quite a challenge, to actually create your own events, create your own ideas, and to actually execute them without having to second guess them, without having other people to come and, ask you or not ask you, but, guide you along the way. I think we had to kind of do it independently initially. And I think that was quite tough. I think also because there aren't really there aren't other organizations that are doing what we do. We had no blueprint. So we would have to create it as we go along. So there was a lot of error, and there was a lot of errors along the way.
Trial and error, yes.
Trial and error, exactly. Trial and error, that's the word. Trial and error along the way, and so you kind of learn from those trials and errors, as you go along. And I think for me personally, it was probably trusting in myself and listening to my own intuition and not doubting myself. And especially the age thing as well is quite a big thing, because you think you're so young, I'm not experienced, I don't know anything, I haven't lived. You would get a lot of people say, you haven't lived, you haven't seen anything. But
okay, so you were actually told sort of, negative, maybe, perhaps, or it could be like a push to say that no, I can do this. I'm assertive enough. And
yes, yeah, being assertive. I think for me personally was there was a journey of me learning or understanding that I can be assertive without it being negative. I can be positively assertive, in my ideas, in my ideas, in my leadership skills, in my public speaking skills, and all of these things. And it's been a journey. I will say that. If you asked me a year ago if I was to be speaking with you, I don't think it would have been a thought. So it's all a journey, really.
It's amazing. I mean, it's fantastic listening to you and sort of like, as you say, that starting and gradually building, because we know that a lot of young people have self-esteem issues. Not just young people, adults like myself. And so how did you overcome that, in terms of what support did you receive that really, really helped and made you to where you are today?
I would say my experience in other environments as well has helped me. So, volunteering with Eritrean really, really helped me. I was a regular volunteer for them, and so I would manage the volunteers at certain events, at Ramadan iftars. So I would manage those. So I would have like leadership positions in that sense.
Amazing.
So that kind of gave me some confidence, in being assertive, on how to lead people. And it's not just, leading people, it's about the way that I lead people as well, that I was very conscious about, because being a volunteer myself, I could see the difference between people that let you, that guide you, and that lead with, lead with empathy and lead with kindness. But then there was also, I could see that there's people that are volunteers that were just, you're just an means to an end. You're just here to get things done, and that's it.
There's a difference.
There's a difference. There is a big, big difference. And so me volunteering for IFA really helped. I got into volunteering for a supplementary school as well, teaching Islamic studies on the weekends. And that really helped me boost my self-esteem, because I'd have to teach in front of young, a classroom, in a classroom of young people, and speak to parents on a regular basis. And so that really helped me. I think that shifted my self-esteem and my confidence a lot. And that gave me and the chance to kind of take what I've learned in that space and put it into EMY UK as well.
Amazing. And yeah, it boosted your confidence, as you said. And you mentioned earlier about making sure that you're putting the work first, because in something like when you're doing charity work in particular, it's very important, as we know, intentions are very important. So what would you say is, what would you advise people regarding getting involved in this type of work, and why is intention important?
I think intention is probably one of the most important things, alongside your team, alongside people that you work with. I think intention sets the tone for everything, because it's the reason why you're doing it. You know, you have to remind yourself as to why you're doing it and the benefit of it. You know, I think sometimes people want to do the work just to look like they're doing the work, and there's a difference between doing the work for the sake of the work, and there's a difference between doing the work because you want to look like you're doing the work and being in the same space. You know, I'm very conscious about, you know, doing things, but am I doing it for the look of doing it, or am I doing it for my sake, you know, for my intention of doing it for the sake of that project in itself. You know? Yeah. So I think it takes a lot of self-awareness. And that in itself is hard. It takes a lot of time and reflection. But I think, you know, understanding why you're doing it, question yourself and ask yourself, why are you doing it? Even if you weren't involved in it, would you still want it to, you know, would you still want this idea or this project to flourish? Do you still want it to thrive? You know?
Absolutely.
It's bigger than you, you know. I have to keep reminding myself that it's bigger than me. It's an ego check. It's a huge ego
That's
check.
the right word, yes. Because of course we're ultimately seeking the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you know, it's important because you can get lost. And of course, you know, with as everything, when it grows and it gets track and publicity, subhanallah, it's so vital to make sure you're keeping your intentions in check. And you said the ego, I mean the nafs, you know, it's like the greatest battle with our own minds. So
it's true. It's very, very true. So especially in this, it's very testing. You can get tested, but I think having a team around you that support you and that have that same, you know, understanding of their intentions as well is really important. You know, I don't think it would be the same if I didn't have the team that I've had, you know, along the way. Alhamdulillah, I've made really great friends through it. And we support each other, you know, alhamdulillah, along the way.
And would you say it helped having the same vision?
Yeah, it has, because you're surrounded by people that, you know, have the same vision and have the same idea as you have, but you might have different ideas. You might have different ways of going about it, but you come together and you have this shared, you know, the shared vision and the shared passion for something, and it's quite beautiful.
It's beautiful, yeah, and as well as, you know, they always, two heads are better than one. So perhaps what you can see, maybe somebody can bring another perspective to it. And you mentioned something about confidence, and really working yourself up. I think you mentioned sitting on ideas sometimes before they come into fruition. How did you get yourself to like snap it? You know, because we have procrastination. That is another battle.
It's true. I think that's something that I've struggled with in terms of like sitting on ideas and, you know, having that stored in the back of my mind. I think a couple of years ago I had an idea. So initially when we started EMYK, I started off as a membership coordinator because I wanted quite like the most, you know, like non-public kind of position.
Background.
Background. I was like background. I would find me in the back. So, but as time went on, I realized I had a lot of ideas for events, and so I went for the events lead role, and so I have ideas. And I remember I had an idea for I think it was like 2 years. Like it was around 2 years. Yeah. I had an idea for 2 years, and it was just there in the back of my mind. And I remember I would tell friends about it, but I would never do anything about it. It would just be there. And I don't know why, actually. It's quite weird looking back now as to why, but I think it was just a lack of confidence in myself. and, you know, lack of listening to my ideas and believing in myself at the time. And it took other people in the team to actually, you know, bring it up and say, actually, Mona had an idea. Why don't we give it a go? Why don't we see? So after we had that conversation, we kind of went through the proposal, and we ended up having the event, and the event was really, really great. Alhamdulillah, it was a beauty standards event, and we did it with another organization as well, and it was really, really good because we had an event that people didn't really see, didn't really happen before, and I remember it was fresh. It was really fresh. 2 years in the making. So after that, I realized that, okay, I can't do that. I can't, it's not beneficial to anyone to kind of sit on ideas. You know, if you have ideas, it's always good to jot them down and to write them down and break them down, brainstorm, speak to other people about it. And alhamdulillah, I have a lot of friends, and even on the committee, that we listen to each other when we think out loud. You know, if I have an idea, I will come to the team and say, run it by them, and then another person will have an idea, they'll run it by us, and we'll find a way to make it work. But the most important thing that I've learned personally and over time is to think out loud. And
which is what brings me to the next point, because you're a testament to making things happen when you act on the ideas and building confidence. So what advice would you give young people who are having these doubts about setting up an organization, a startup, a charity?
I would say speak to people, speak to people around you. I would say research into it, look around, see what, has it been done, speak to people that have done it as well. At the time, I didn't have people that I could speak to that have done it, but I had people that I could speak to for advice from different organizations, and get involved, network with people. I think it's really important for people to, support each other and listen to each other. And, if someone had an idea to start something up, then run it by someone, And there's always, people are more than happy to help. At least we are at EMY UK, So I think it's really important to not just to actually speak out loud and do it. Find a way to actually get the ball going, even if it's small, just, slowly but surely.
Overcoming. Yeah, you're right. And again, it's that self-talk, and it usually talks us out of doing something,
Yeah.
So it's
the self-talk is quite a struggle. I kind of struggle with that as well, in terms of self-talking to myself and how I talk to myself. But I think for me, it's probably having people as well, like I've said, and I'm so thankful for my team, for the EMYK team, the many people that have come on the committee each year that, that support and, uplift each other. Because, you can get sucked up in your own head, you can, sit there and think about what you're saying to yourself, but that isn't really necessarily the truth of the matter.
That's that's very important for you to say that, because what really comes out in you when you talk is passion, and you wanting to do and make a change in your community. So how would you encourage young people to follow their passions? Because you didn't wait for someone to do it.
No, I didn't, but I didn't necessarily have a plan I didn't have an intention to do that. It just kind of happened. I think it was just life. I think I was introduced to something and I was just so immersed in it. And I think I found that I really enjoyed doing it and enjoyed, working with people and fundraising and making a change for other people, personally speaking. That was very, very fulfilling for me. And I'm one of those people that I have to love what I'm doing in order for me to do it properly. I have to really love it. So I would say, find what is, just try different things. Volunteering is always a good good idea. I think in these days, I think volunteering is it's not really encouraged maybe, but I think if you're young, there's no harm in volunteering, even if you're older. Like time is really time is priceless. If you can give your time to a project or a cause, you'll benefit and you'll feel so much fulfillment from it. So I would say just try different things. Also try to know yourself as a person. You know, sounds very, generic maybe, but I think
that's kind of, a lot of people don't know their strengths and weaknesses. So it's actually great advice to know yourself, but also be willing to learn. I mean, as you said, you were asking the elders for advice, and I understand that you also attended some training programs.
Yeah, so there were some individuals in the community that held training, and so they kind of reached out to us, and they would do like leadership training with us, and kind of break down how to lead and problem solving and all of these things. And that was really important because it's one thing to lead, but it's in the way that you lead as well. And it was really important that we learn these things from people within our community, because we have to kind of support each other and utilize each other's resources and our strengths and our strengths. There are a lot of Eritrean people in our communities in the UK that are doing amazing things, but because everyone is to themselves, you don't really see it that much, or everyone knows each other on a personal level. And so EMYUK, like, one of our aims is to showcase Eritrean excellence, through our events, and open it and kind of, show that actually there are people that we can lean on in our community to support us, and for us to kind of, grow.
I agree. It's a great value to have in an organization. So actually, what kind of events and projects does EMYUK run? And of course, I'm assuming you did this, of course, before the lockdown.
Yes. So before the lockdown, we have an outreach team, and we have an events team. And so we have, on the events team, we have social-based events. So we've had, barbecues where people come and we have food and we enjoy the weather. We've had a cultural event. So every year we would have a cultural-based event. So we'd have our clothes, our traditional clothes, and just a showcase of Eritrean history and Eritrean art as well. So that was our Back to Your Roots event, which is one of our most popular events. And we've also had, in terms of our outreach, we've done a lot of educational-based events. So we've done a careers fair. We've done 2, I think, now.
Really? So what kind of numbers do you usually get attending these?
So our careers fair, I think it's actually our most attended event actually that we've done thus far. I think we had like 200 people attend our careers. Yeah, it's a lot. It was quite overwhelming actually when we were there on the day. It's quite overwhelming to see so many people come. And we had stalls of Eritrean, professionals in so many different fields. So we had like a neurosurgeon, we had lawyers, we had computer science engineers, we had teachers. And so we had young people come to people who looked like them, who could relate to them. And give them advice.
Because Muslims struggle with that.
Yeah, we do. And as Eritreans, we struggle with that even more. So you can imagine there being, Muslims struggling, but then also Eritreans struggling, because there's that gap as well. So
representation,
exactly. So we wanted to showcase and really push and emphasize the representation of our people and the things that we do and the things that we are doing, because there are great things that we are doing. And so we had young people come, and we had a lot of people kind of shocked, that there were people in these fields that were from the same background as them.
Amazing.
So subhanAllah, it was quite a touching event, the careers fair. We've done study skills events, so like how to prep for exams, essay writing. We've actually done an exam preparation one event virtually, so on Zoom. recently with the outreach team, which was really, really good and really beneficial, alhamdulillah. So we've kind of delved more towards the outreach and education based events, because we've seen how much they help and how much they can really change and be of benefit to people. We've had parents get in touch as well, and give us advice and ask about how their kids can get involved and how their kids can tap into resources that we might have.
Yes, and subhanAllah, it sounds like you've got a big network, or you're very good as an organization with networking.
Yeah, so, alhamdulillah. Yeah, I guess because we've been doing this for some time, and we've had, and I think the Eritrean community as well is quite small, so that kind of is a plus side to it. We don't have so much to
reach out.
Yeah, we can kind of we have a good connection in general, in here in the UK at least, and we've also met Eritreans abroad as well. But yeah, I think we've met people from our events, and we've just become become friends with them as well. We've befriended a lot of people. We've had people that have come to events and that have come onto our committee as well. So people that we haven't really known, but they've enjoyed our events. They enjoy our company as individuals on the committee, and then
they're inspired by what you're doing.
Yeah, I would like to think so. So they've come and joined this committee too. So it's kind of that thing where I consider it like an extended family. And I know I'm not alone in saying that on the committee. I think a couple of them would say that too, that we are in a family. When we have events, there are regular people that come to all of our events. And so it's nice to see them, and it's quite authentic and quite genuine in terms of the way that we connect with people.
Real, yes. So, as of course you're setting up these fantastic events and benefiting so much. How do you fundraise for the actual organization, EMY UK?
So we are actually self-funded at the moment. So we do get donations from people in the community when it comes to certain events, so they can support us. But really and truly, we are students. So I'm a young professional, so we kind of make it happen, using those kind of resources.
You're efficient. Yeah, we have to be extra efficient, because we know student life, we've gone through it, so it's not easy, but it's amazing, mashallah. Like, may Allah continue to put barakah in this.
Thank you.
And make people fund your projects. So it's great. So I hope this show, if we've got listeners who are interested in getting involved and supporting EMY UK, we'll be sharing the contact details at the end of this show. So no worries. So I understand that you also have meetings in university grounds, and that's how you're so resourceful that you don't go and waste money, I guess, on hiring other venues.
Yeah, we use universities quite a lot, actually, for events, for meetings. We've collaborated with university societies, actually, in the past, and
like what different universities have you collaborated with or worked with?
Yeah, so we've collaborated with UCL and their Somali Society and their BME Society. We've collaborated with King's College, and we've kind of shared networks with them, and we've also done events at SOAS University as well. So we've kind of expanded out, but UCL has been a really big supporter of us, and their Somali Society have been a great support system for us. They've shared their resources with us. They've shared mentoring scheme programs that they've kind of worked on, and they've kind of shared it with us as well. So alhamdulillah, it's been really good to have that support system as well outside of our community.
Yes, it helps, like Muslims working together and coming together. So I know you collaborated with Muwassat.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that briefly.
Okay, so every Ramadan, or last Ramadan, we fundraised money for Al Muwasat and Ithar Relief. But Al Muwasat is a funeral and burial service charity in the UK. It's an Eritrean charity, and they basically cover the costs of burial and funerals of Muslims in London.
I'm sure they would have been inundated with the pandemic that we've just had as well.
Exactly. With the pandemic, it was quite a struggle, and so we raised money for their services, and so we helped them raise money for their cleaning facility, and so we raised money for their table, for their cleaning table, and also their what else was it? Sorry, I have my notes here. And we helped wash sites, so it was the table and the fridge for the bodies to be stored in. Yeah, so alhamdulillah, we managed to help them raise the money, and also we raised money for Ithar Relief last year for the refugees in Eastern Sudan.
So MashaAllah, alhamdulillah, you're doing great stuff. I hope you continue.
Thank you. We are fundraising for Ithar again this year, alhamdulillah.
Yes, you're doing food packs and education packs, right?
Yes.
And I think people can sign up to your Just Giving pages, which I think just on getting involved with EMY UK, your Insta is at EMY UK Live.
Yeah.
So please do connect with the Eritrean Muslim Youth Organization via Insta. That's EMY UK Live. And I understand you also have a Facebook page, which is, if you just search EMY UK, it should come up, and they can reach out to you if they want to send in donations or just get involved with your different projects that you're doing, and probably collaborate too if you, I'm sure you're willing to work with other charities. So please, charities, if you're listening, do reach out to EMY UK. I understand you also have an email, which I'll pop in the Facebook, the Radio Ramadan Facebook page. So it's Eritrean Muslim Youth UK at gmail.com. That's Eritrean Muslim Youth UK at gmail.com. So what would you say the future looks like, briefly, if you can just summarize in a minute, for 2 minutes, for Mona Hussein and the Eritrean Muslim Youth?
For EMY UK, I would say we would love to delve into more schemes, so like mentoring schemes, and just really bigger and better and more impactful projects for people. And I think for me, it would probably be me supporting EMY UK along the way as well, inshallah, and also just other different projects in the community.
Inshallah. So in terms of your concluding remarks, what would you leave the listeners with today?
Oh, that's a lot. Okay, I would say trust yourself. I would say trust yourself, and to surround yourself with people that dream and that think out loud, and that also can, that can support you. But really is just to, just think of others as well. Think of others, and be there and support other people just as much as you'd want that for yourself. I think that's really important when you're doing this work. And hopefully all of the rest of it will come to you as you go along. But trust yourself, surround yourself with great people, and surround yourself with dreamers, people that dream, and that let you dream too. And push yourself out of your comfort zone. It's really important.
That's important, because most of us are actually scared of taking risks, and the fear is what stops us from moving forward. But amazing point.
I'm still learning. These are things that I'm still learning, and I'm still implementing myself, because obviously public speaking and things like that aren't necessarily natural for me, but for the cause and for EMY UK, these are things that I'm going to have to do and grow alongside it.
And growth, that's the beautiful thing about all this. It doesn't stop. So, mashallah, you're doing fantastic, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, don't worry about confidence. It comes.
Thank you.
And really, listeners, I hope you've benefited from this show today. I thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure, Mona Hussein, joining us today. And I'd like to really wrap up. So you've been listening to Resonating Reflections. Jazakallahu khair. Thank you so much again, Mona, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
So I've been your host, Fatima Jabi, on Ramadan Radio, 87.9 FM. Stay tuned. We have a show up next. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Enjoy the rest of your Ramadan and stay safe, and Eid Mubarak.
Mubarak. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.